Welcome back to the channel. We got another good one today. Brett Cooper with Fang's farting boyfriend and the evil soccer mom. And if you enjoy this episode, smash that like button down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Brett's videos in the comments, or in the, not the comments, the description. I don't know. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Time to record.
Scalding hot potatoes, massive farts on screen, and sleeping with Chinese spies. I mean, what more could Californians want?
I mean, that sounds great, right?
Okay,
sounds
guys,
like California as it would always be.
Keep getting more outrageous. That's not me. That is not on me. That's on the content that these politicians are putting out, that these people on social media are doing. I am just here to offer that to you in an entertaining way. So it's not my fault that the intros are more outrageous. It is simply what is happening in our world. Anyway, what I am here to tell you about today is the fact that I need a full-on TV show about the upcoming gubernatorial race in California because, per usual, this might be the greatest entertainment that we get all year, unless, of course, you live in California, and in that case, thoughts and prayers. Now, before we dive into this story, I want to tell you about something that is extremely exciting. Now, as you guys might remember, back in January, we launched a subscription platform called Cooper Confidential. Many of you guys are members. This is where you were going to get additional content. You would also be able to watch ad-free versions of the show. But as you might know, we have kind of been dark on there for the last couple of months, and that is because we've been working on something behind the scenes. As you guys know, my goal for this year was to become a bit and form a Patreon about over you guys. Dive on into this story because we are about a year out from this upcoming election in California because Gavin Newsom timed out, done. He cannot run again. Thank God.
Thank God.
California. However, I just said thank God. Praise.
Yeah, but however, that California is not in good graces coming up. In fact, they could go down a darker rabbit hole if that's even fucking possible after Gavin Failscum.
Gavin Newsom will no longer be governor. I don't know if his replacement options are that great. Like, you might be better off just keeping Gavin Newsom because this is genuinely insane. Like, unfortunately for California, their top contenders are Katie Porter and Eric Swalwell, two of the most insane, unlikable people in all of politics. I mean, both of them are basically buffoonish cartoon villains at this point. Somebody posted this yesterday and said 40 million people, and the two most likely individuals to become governor of California are a dude who fell for a Chinese honeypot and a woman who poured scalding mashed potatoes on her husband's head cooked.
What? How is California? How are we supposed to trust anything you guys say or do or try to, sell to us if these are your best people, the best ones you could get? Like, what? The retardation is at a whole new level.
Absolutely cooked. I mean, when it comes to Katie Porter's husband, he is literally cooked. The top of his head was cooked. Poor man. And no, that story is not fake. We will be getting into that a little bit later, but comedy level, like sitcom level, terrible wife, soccer mom, Karen, Katie Porter could be California's
she
next
is horrid.
So let's just go ahead and start with
and
her.
She
because
probably
she
will
was going viral last month. She is an interesting character, to say the least, and she seems to have some anger issues. Like, I would not be surprised if she ends up at the same anger management course that Randy Fine had to do. Sorry, guys. I had to bring that back because it is just too good. But anyway, let's just take a look at how she responded and reacted when she was asked a very legit question in a relatively softball interview last month.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're thinking.
In a general election? Yes.
I don't think so.
If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you?
Yes, but if she's going to ask the question I'm about
versus
to.
Another Democrat.
I don't intend that to be the case.
You don't intend for that to be the case. You know, everybody who leaves their house every day, and gets into a car crash, I bet you zero of them intended to get into that accident after they left the house. Anybody who has a heart attack at work and just collapses on the floor, and then, all of a sudden they're waking up in the hospital or surrounded by, their coworkers, and all of a sudden, no one intended for that to happen. but it did. Is this lady stupid? Because that's all I think of right here. This
How
crazy.
do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can.
Name recognition. The only reason I know her name is for all the horrible things she's done and said and the way she acts on camera. Like, if that's what you wanted for name recognition, good job. You got less votes than Kamala Harris.
To make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
Correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked.
All she had to do. Here's how I'm going to answer that question. Hey, sir, do you need the 40% of Trump voters to win your election? I mean, maybe a few of them, but not necessarily all of them.
The other candidates,
simple.
Do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
What a baby. I don't want to finish this interview. I'm going to leave. Goodbye.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
That's an interview, honey.
I don't care. I don't care.
This is how every liberal has a conversation or tries to debate. They just stop. They can't do it. They don't know how to finish when all of a sudden their points are challenged and pushed back on with actually argumentative fact or factual questions. And it's, I quit, bye.
I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation, which you asked me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there. And we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigator.
Literally, you're running for governor. This is your job right now. You should be here getting interviewed by as many people as possible. Go on as many podcasts as possible. Try to appear like a fucking human. Right now, you seem more like a demon.
Never had to do this before, ever.
Okay, she has never had to do this before. She has never had
I've
to do
never had
a
an
normal
interview before.
Where you are asked a question, you sort of
For
answer,
real.
and the conversation continues. That is just how conversations and interviews go. However, in the first place, she didn't even answer the question to begin with. Okay, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. It is just so bad. Pulling off her microphone. I want to have a pleasant conversation. I just want to answer the questions that are on the page. Possibly because she got the questions ahead of time and wasn't expecting to actually have to stand on her own 2 feet and answer them. I have no idea what is going on. But obviously, this one was not happy, and there is a lot to unpack here. Now,
yeah, there's so much to unpack there. It's like, what? So they gave you these questions ahead of time and you were able to get, parts of your answer. Well, how is it so hard to get the rest of it? The questions aren't that difficult. Honestly, you could come up with super simple answers and then no one can call you out for not replying, giving up, or anything like that. They can just call you out on your bad answers that you can over time work on bettering.
the first thing that stood out to me is her just completely dismissing Trump voters at the beginning and saying, no, I don't need them to win. And the fact that she thought that simple of a question was argumentative enough, as the reporter was just trying to get to the root of what Katie was saying, to get up and walk out of the interview. That is certifiably crazy. Somebody commented and said, Democrats are so used to being cuddled by the media that a simple, non-hostile but honest prodding by a journalist sets them off. These people are maniacs that should never be trusted with authority. You're not wrong. Again, This is like simple. Her reaction was so overblown. Another person said if she wins, hopefully nobody asks her any follow-up questions as governor. She might resign. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. If she does win, everybody keep going and asking her follow-up things. She might just quit. I mean, the other option is she does such a bad job running. She pushes California Republican. Imagine that. California turn red. What if? Imagine that. What if scenario. Just imagine it. You can say, oh, it'll never happen in my lifetime. There's a lot of things I would have said that about that. Guess what? They fucking happened.
God forbid she has to address the media as a politician and answer their follow-up questions. They're very basic, boring, milquetoast follow-up questions. Now, obviously, that is all my opinion. I think she was ridiculous, but of course, not everybody agrees with me. Not everybody feels that way, and a lot of people online thought that she was actually right to walk off and thought that this reporter was out of line, was asking a dumb question, and was doing some sort of gotcha moment. Like, this guy said, who the F needs Trump voters in a California state election? That's like asking for Biden voters in an Arkansas race. A couple of other comments I want to read you. This person said she answered the question framed several ways. It's like they are being paid by the number of times they say his name. End this shit, Dems. Walk out if you must. She answered it over and over, and the reporter
she didn't.
just kept trying to reframe her answer. Why? The new right-wing CBS overlords will like her? Okay.
Are these commenters watching the same clips I did? Because the ones I saw, she gave a nothing of an answer, she gave a half answer, and then she quit. Like, no, she didn't answer it over and over, and they reframed it. Like, no, she asked a question, didn't get an answer, reiterated and asked again, got like a half answer that kind of was like a whatever kind of answer. Get off this question. Because seriously, all you had to do was say, I might need a couple of them, but not nearly all that many. Like, look, I just need to get more than half. That's it. If there's 40% there, I just need to get every one of the Democrats. That's it. But she could also become so unlikable as the candidate that the Democrats just go, I'm going to try someone else.
But the thing is, my response to these comments is that she actually didn't answer the whole question. It wasn't just, do you think you need the Trump voters? It was, what would you say to them? What would you say to them to convince them to vote for you? And yes, of course, California is blue, but it is blue because of 3 big cities. The rest of the state is red. It actually has more Republican voters, registered voters, than any other state in the entire country. And if you were a normal candidate who was not Katie Porter, I think that you would be wanting to encourage those Republican voters to come out and vote for you in a primary, or even if not in a primary, in the actual election next year. But of course, Katie, who thinks she's so amazing, Katie does not think that she's going to have a challenger. We'll get back to that later.
Katie thinks their
shit
don't stink.
So why would she bother with those Californians? Because she obviously doesn't think she needs them. I am actually less upset with the fact that she thought those questions were argumentative, or that she ripped off her microphone and wanted to walk off screen. I'm less upset with that and more upset by the fact that she is just completely blowing off the millions and millions of California Republicans. Like, she is point blank saying that she hates you, she doesn't care about you, she is happy to ignore you, and she gleefully said all of that out loud. She's
showing you that if she wins and you're a Republican in California, you will have no representation from her at all. She will not have any of your interests at heart, and she may actually choose to actively fight what you want so that you hate your state more and you'll leave her and you'll move away. I can 100% see that happening.
Does not think that she needs to work to get your vote. That should encourage you to get out and start working to make sure that you vote in this election. I know a lot of people like to wait for the presidential election. They do not get involved with local politics. This should tell you that you need to get involved.
Yeah, the next presidential election is going to be a big one. It's going to be a huge deciding factor for the direction of the future of the nation. However, to get us in the best position, we need sane individuals. I don't even care if you're Democrat or Republican. I just need sane people who are America first, want to have the strong immigration laws to keep people from killing our servicemen, right in the capital of our nation, which is such a crazy story. I might see if I find a video or something that covers that later on, but that's just still a developing story, and it's wild to see how many people are actually becoming activated by this. They are radicalizing a generation against Islam, Arabs, and Muslims because of their repeated terroristic actions against Americans.
Somebody reposted that clip on X and they said, man, if she is doing this on camera, like imagine what is she doing off? Imagine what she is saying to other journalists, to her staff, to her family, and boy, did the floodgates open. Because within hours of that clip from that interview going viral, this deleted excerpt from another conversation happened to be leaked. Take a watch.
State could lose.
Oh, I love this one.
Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot.
Oh my God. I mean, this like woman.
Seriously.
I have no words. This woman is just so incredibly awful. I mean, can you imagine working for that woman? You're her staffer. You are just trying to help her, not put her foot in her mouth. So you're kind of like sneaking in the background. She starts swearing at you, saying, get the F out of my shot. You give her a good note so that you don't sound like an idiot. And rather than going, okay, thank you, so sorry, I'm just a little on edge, you go, all right, well, you were still in my effing shot. I mean, this woman is a piece of work.
Yeah, you look like an asshole.
That this conversation took place years ago in 2021, and it had that moment edited out. Now, that clip was then linked to Politico in the aftermath of that first interview that we watched. Again, publicized like hours after people started seeing her walk off on screen. Somebody on her staff had been sitting on that clip, just waiting for things to come crumbling down. And boy, did they start crumbling. And boy, have I had fun.
Maybe she's got a mole in her staffer that's actually right wing, and he's trying to he or she is trying to sabotage Katie. That would be great. And hey, maybe if it works, we get more right wing individual people to infiltrate the Democrat candidates' offices and see them behind the scenes, and maybe get some clips that'll shed them in the not so great light.
Guys, we are nowhere near finished, so sit back, settle in, grab a good rancher steak, because nothing pairs as well with processor. Free Stopbox Pro when you use code BrettCooper10 at Stopbox US. Stopbox Pro and keep her there, unfortunately. But it's not like Katie had a squeaky clean reputation to begin with. Like somehow I feel like she's kind of just slipped under the radar for a lot of people. But even further back, alleged messages
until recently I didn't know about her, but
COVID test came
then
out. However,
I saw all the
is that this was not an employee acting in rebellion, saying I don't want to get tested, screw this, screw COVID protocol. No, this employee was going through a hard time. This employee's friend had just been murdered and she wasn't thinking straight. She apologized to Katie, and yet this is how Katie came after her. Let's just read this. So Katie messages her and says, why did you not follow office protocol on testing? It's really disappointing. This woman writes back and says, I am terribly sorry. You're right. I should have done better. Just because I felt okay in the moment doesn't mean that I was.
Right there, that first 3 words, you did the one thing you can't do to leftists. You said sorry. You admitted that you were wrong, when in fact you did nothing wrong. Especially when it came to COVID shit.
And then Katie writes back and says, Sasha, I cannot allow you back in the office given your failure to follow office policies. Cody will be in touch about having your personal effects shipped or delivered to your home and will lay out your remote work schedule and responsibilities for your last few weeks. She says, I understand. Thank you for the last 2 years and all that I have learned. I hate to have disappointed you in the manner, as I know it isn't an excuse, but I had found out that my friend from the Navy had been murdered and my head was not in the best place. Not an excuse, but the reasoning for the lack of forethought. Again, I appreciate everything this office has done for me. And then Katie responds and goes, well, you gave me COVID. In 25 months, it took you not following the rules to get me sick. My children have no one to care for them.
So you stopped caring for your kids? That doesn't sound like anyone's problem but your own. Screw you! You should take care of your kids. Where's their father? What happened to that?
What? You...
That's my exact thought.
Your employee's friend was just murdered. And even if you want to go ahead and fire her and be angry at her, you do not even have the decency to say, wow, Sasha, I'm so sorry. That must be really hard. This really has put me in a bind.
Exactly.
I need you to do all this testing. You're just going to work from home, but I am sorry for that. It isn't an excuse, but I'm sorry. That at least would have been the bare minimum. That is the decent person thing to do, even if in your deranged state, you're going to go ahead and fire her. But no, Katie Porter cannot even be bothered to do that. Like, seriously.
I would say that's the basic human interaction, but not to lefties.
What a peach. What a gem of a
Not
human
to
being
leftists.
California has to offer. So lovely, in fact, that back in 2023, a whole article was written about her bad boss problem. But of course, and this is not surprising at all, but that Politico piece had a very obvious feminist slant, and they seemed to argue that people just couldn't handle working for a strong woman, a boss bitch, an opinionated woman like Katie Porter. However, they would have put up with this behavior if it was from a man. No, I am sorry. I think people in general just don't want to work for an asshole. That goes for men and women. We have different names for those types of assholes. However, I think it goes both ways, and it is not problematic to call out a woman who is being an asshole to her employees, which obviously she is in these last two stories we've seen.
100%.
Anyway, moving on from that, after those two clips that we watched came out last month, Katie was then brought back on camera and she was asked about them. And wouldn't you know, she refused to deny that there were not more of them.
Oh,
somewhere
no.
behind the scenes. Just watch.
There's definitely
Should
more.
California voters feel confident that there aren't any more Katie Porter videos out there?
Well, what I know is that I could have done better in those moments.
So,
I'm gonna be
no.
focused on earning
They
their
can't be
votes and earning their
confident that
trust.
there's
That's true
not
in
more.
every election. I've only ever had tough elections.
She's such a politician. She gives such a nothing answer. She says like 50 words, but they have no value.
So I'm absolutely aware
Crazy.
that I'm going to have to continue to show them. I'm going to have to answer every question. I'm glad I got to continue that interview and finish that interview and answer all her questions. And that's
You didn't finish the interview. You left halfway through it. You couldn't answer a simple question of, do you need Trump supporters, the 40% that voted for him in California? Instead, you're like, why would I need them? Like, she can't comprehend needing anybody who's not, willing just to bow down to her.
what I'm going to continue to do to show California
She's
not
gonna
only that I
root
understand their
in
problems,
California.
but that I have the
And believe me, I would love to be 100% wrong, and that she turns California around, makes it the #1 state in the nation across the board. And I don't mean #1 in homelessness, #1 in housing unaffordability. not #1 in those things. More like #1 in the amount of people who have jobs and are happy at their jobs.
the will and the strength of character to actually get something done about them.
But not just the CBS interview, the interview with the staffer. Can voters be confident that there won't be another one of those videos that's going to come to light?
What I do know is that I could have done better in that situation.
But that's not a no. So is
That's
there
not what you're
potentially
saying.
Another
That's
video
not
we're
yes
gonna
or
see?
no.
Nikki, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that
Just say,
video,
I don't know.
But
There
she
might
is
be.
not answering the question. This is like a theme with Katie. And what I know is killing her inside is that she just gave this long-winded answer being like, I am going to answer all the questions. I am going to do this. I'm so
And then
glad
she
I had the
can't
opportunity
do
to
it.
finish that interview. I'm going to answer all of her questions and your questions. Just not this one. And she can't outright, rip off her microphone and try to walk off screen again, because that would be a bad look. It would be a bad look in general, but especially considering the content
That
of this
you
interview
did it
right now,
already.
she can't do that. And you just know that as her eyebrows are sky high up in her furrowed brow, she's going, damn it, I'm
Yep.
stuck in a bad situation, because she simply cannot deny that there won't be more leaks. Somebody commented
Yeah.
and said, yeah, there's probably more videos. Yeah, you think? This woman, her track
She can't deny that there's not more stuff out there that'll make her look bad, but she also can't just say, I have no idea. To my knowledge, I don't have anything. And just, that way you have that to my knowledge part. That way I didn't know they had that. I didn't know that clip existed. I didn't know I was being recorded in that time.
Record. Another
and then you can just pull those cards out later.
Effing shot, everything would be fine. Another one commented and said, I feel like she's saying in her head, ask one more follow-up question, I'm cutting a bitch. Yeah, exactly. But honestly, what is even more distressing than all of those clips is the fact that she doesn't just act this way in front of reporters and her staffers, it is also her family. In fact, her husband, as I mentioned in the intro, her husband alleged in their divorce filing that she had abused him as well, which yes, included dumping hot potatoes on his head. And while the dumping of the scalding hot potatoes did get the most clicks, all of this is just insane. Just read this. This is from Breitbart. Hoffman's jaw-dropping accusations include accounts of Porter allegedly causing physical harm to her arms with scratch marks so that she could blame it on him, allegedly assaulting him with scalding hot food in a whirlwind of rage, and allegedly breaking a glass coffee pot while having a meltdown, which injured him. Now, he says that the potato incident happened in 2006 and asserted that while he was preparing the side dish, Porter entered the kitchen and shouted, "Can't you read the effing instructions?" in front of their son after catching a glimpse of the potatoes. She then took the ceramic bowl of steaming hot potatoes and dumped it on my head, burning my scalp, Hoffman said in the document. The alleged coffee pot incident supposedly occurred in 2012 after the couple sought out anger management courses several years earlier. Oh my God.
So that coffee pot was after anger management. This is her after anger management. No, she should not be governor of any state. She shouldn't be running anything more than her own household.
God, I was right. I wonder if they were with Randy Fine. Haha. Anyway, Hoffman, then a stay-at-home father, contended that Porter was infuriated their home was not tidy after she returned home from work. He alleged that she broke a glass coffee pot by banging it against the counter, causing him a wound. Their children were home during the alleged ordeal as she called him, quote, incompetent and an effing slob. Now, I do not blame this man for leaving at all, because this is all insane. And imagine your children seeing all of this.
Yeah,
but
she sounds like a nightmare
like
to live with.
Screwed up, considering that she is constantly using them in her political messaging. Just watch.
Ms. Thunberg, I just wanted to ask you one question. I have a 9-year-old daughter. I have 3 kids, and I told my 9-year-old daughter that I was going to be speaking with you. And
hey, I'm gonna say, play Jeopardy here. Things that never happened for 500, please.
What do you think about the climate change? And she said, the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon.
Yeah, things that didn't happen for 500.
And she said it made her feel angry.
Okay, I have things to say, but watch this one too.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12. And
things that never happened for 300.
And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people. And
if it happened, she encouraged the thought into her child's head, which, depending on how that went, that could be child abuse, which I bet you, with how she abused her husband, there might be some in there. I'm not saying it's any, like, physically hitting her kids or hurting them in a physical manner, but maybe in an emotional or a verbal manner.
How important it is for Democrats to have strategies.
Oh yes, it is so scary that your 12-year-old daughter might not be able to kill her unborn child. I mean, what kind of mother are you? If you have instilled this kind of, earth-shattering fear in your children, if this is the thing that is top of mind to them, if your children are walking around thinking that the earth is on fire and that they're going to die, or that they might not be able to kill their baby if she gets raped. I mean, what 12-year-old is thinking about rape? That is on the mother, 100%. That is 100% insane. And I'm sure you guys are thinking, oh my God, this woman is just awful. She could not possibly get any worse. Well, she can. Here is the last clip that you need to see.
The allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity. So this is clearly prohibited under Twitter's content, yet you found hundreds of these posts.
I'm sorry, it is not merely because of their identity or who they want to sleep with. It would actually be the age of who they want to sleep with. And if people are peddling weird sexual fetishes and kinks in front of children, I think we have a right. Actually, I think there is a necessity. It's incredibly important that we call that out and call it what it is. But in Katie Porter's mind, oh, no, totally fine. That's just,
We need to check Katie's hard drives. We need to see what damning child harming evidence is on there. There's something. I 100% am certain there's something on there that she'd be like, oh my god, if this gets out, I'm dead. I 100% think there's something like that she's got.
And we need to respect it. No, actually, we don't. So all of this to say, it's not just Katie's personality. It's not just her contempt for voters. She genuinely does have insane views. And to make matters worse, she does seem like a combination of Madam Trunchbull mixed with that football coach from Glee. Beastie, I think was his name, her name? I think it was her. I mean, who would want either of those running their state? Someone posted online and said,
for real.
Imagine being Katie Porter and having a bedside manner so bad that the outtakes from an otherwise unremarkable interview triggered a break glass moment among Democrats to run anyone else they could find. Yes, which brings us to the other Democrat, who is running.
No, she was right.
California. Now, to go back to that first break
the
glass
other Democrat,
unremarkable interview that became very remarkable. If you remember, in that interview, she was like, "No, I'm not gonna be running against anybody else. There's not gonna be any other Democrat that could challenge me." Oh, well, Katie, you
arrogance is a dish best served cold. Because, well,
were mistaken because you were so awful. The Democrats were scrambling and they found somebody else. Eric Swalwell, who made the announcement last night that he too would be running for governor.
What are we going to do? How do you stop this?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I love California. It's the
and you're going to run for governor
in the world.
Greatest country in the world.
Huh?
But that's why it pisses me off to see California
in America
running,
but not really,
where they work from ICE agents or troops in our streets.
It's horrifying.
It's horrifying.
It's absolutely
or cancer research
horrifying.
Being canceled. It's awful to look at. And our state, this great state, needs a fighter and a protector, someone who will bring prices down, lift wages up. And
that's what Trump has done so far.
We're the fourth largest economy in the world, and we are, and I love to brag about that. But what does that mean if you can't afford to live here? So I've been in these fights as a city council member up in Dublin, my hometown, as a prosecutor in Oakland, and taking on the most corrupt president ever in the U.S. Congress.
Joe Biden, right?
Home.
Right?
So
he took on Joe Biden, didn't he?
Tell you and your audience,
most corrupt president in our country's history. Because if you ask me, I don't know who ran the country the last 4 years. It was probably Kamala Harris. With an auto pen that said Joe Biden, because, well, I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, but if you looked at her policies, they were basically what was already happening under Biden, just a little more of it, and then they added in that one thing for, oh, we're going to protect abortion rights for women, disguised as women's rights, is how they claim that one. That still don't know how they got away with that one.
God, it's so bad. It is so... Oh my God, it's so cringe. His scripted monologue. I have gone up against the most corrupt politicians. I have been a prosecutor. He's waiting for applause that doesn't come. He's rehearsed this staring in the mirror. He has staffers in the background being you gotta say it like this, you gotta say it like this. He goes on Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's waiting for the announcement, pretending he doesn't know. I mean, the whole thing is so staged. Eric Swalwell was trying to have his Donald Trump 2015 coming down the escalator moment, making America great again, having this huge revolution. Buddy, that fell flat. That was unfortunately incredibly embarrassing. Now, you might watch that clip and you're okay, well, what does he have to offer? Maybe he has, better bedside manner than Katie Porter, but really, he says it himself, all he's here to do is fight Trump.
I'm Eric Swalwell, and it's this simple. The next governor of California has 2 jobs. 1,
fix California and undo what Gavin Newsom has done to the state, and 2, cooperate with the federal government so you can have all the benefits of being in the nation. Because, well, I think you should really fix that. And the third goal, because, you want to fix it all, is you redo your census and only count citizens, not every illegal immigrant.
Keep the worst president in our history out of our homes, out of our streets.
My bad.
Out of our lives.
You got to go against the president of your nation. That's the first one, of course. How could I have been more wrong?
The store is getting more expensive.
No one will keep Californians safer than I will. No one. Nancy Pelosi selected me for the intelligence.
Well, that doesn't help your case. You have yourself being selected by the most corrupt person who definitely insider traded her way into never having to have anyone in her family ever work again because she stole from the taxpayer.
And to help
for
lead
decades
the impeachment of a corrupt president. Californians will never bend the knee. And 2, bring...
You know, Nancy, she can keep all her earnings that she made in the stock market. She just has to return every single dollar she ever received as salary for being in the governmental positions she was in. That's what I think she should have to do.
Yes, a new California.
Okay, so it took him 30 seconds in this clip to get to making California great. The first 30 seconds were dedicated to him being endorsed
Going
by
against
Nancy
Trump.
Pelosi. That is a terrible endorsement, my friend.
Yeah.
The majority of those 30 seconds were spent talking about Trump, blaming Trump for all of California's problem and saying that as governor, his number one priority is to fight Donald Trump. I'm sorry, Trump is California's biggest issue, not the fact that it's been run by Democrats largely for the last 50 years. Like, dude, the call is coming from inside the House. Take a look in the mirror. Let's have some self-awareness here. It's not about Trump. I mean, California has been one of the most expensive states before Trump. So I'm sorry, buddy. I don't think he is your issue. Maybe look to your reps. Maybe look to Mr. Hair Gel Salesman for an answer. But it is not Trump. You people...
Yeah, and what are they going to do in 2028 when Trump's out of office? Is he going to still be fighting J.D. Vance after it, I guess? Because at this moment, I still don't know who the Democrats would run, like, a little over 3 years from now. Who would they run in that election? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. Like, who they got? AOC? Nah. Gavin Newsom? Jasmine Crockett? Ugh. Like, they got no good ones. All the good ones are on the Republican side now.
Genuinely need to get a grip. Like, if the earthquakes, if the forest fires do not take out California, I'm sorry, but I think Trump derangement syndrome just might do it. And it really does seem like everybody got frantic, like they pulled Swalwell out of their ass. Nancy Pelosi was like, we have to get somebody else because Katie Porter isn't working. But it is so funny because his resume is truly remarkable. And obviously, he has a
remarkable
resume.
In a bad way, right?
All the things that he's done. But I want to talk about his internet resume. And one of my favorite moments was when he farted on camera.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
Okay, we need to watch that again. Just wait.
I expected like a little toot. That was comical. That was almost like a sound effect placed afterward. That's
Guys,
great.
Just wait.
Cheat an election.
Like, it's not like a toot.
It's not even subtle.
On whoopee cushion level fart. That
exactly.
is like my baby first thing in the morning, clenching his fists level fart. It might even be a shart. But you know what, guys?
Maybe.
Totally fine because at least
maybe he sharted himself
on camera for it. So 10 points to Gryffindor for that one. And even though he is now...
But I will say, if this is the worst that comes from him, shoot me in the head and give me him over Katie Porter every single day. Don't give me Katie. She will destroy Like we thought Gavin Newsom destroyed that state. She said, hold my fucking wine.
A meme himself, he himself cannot seem to take a joke because here he is crashing out over a meme that the House Republicans posted.
What in the hell is this? The chairman tweets, protect our ducks and kittens in Ohio because he goes
Why are you complaining, buddy?
Goes down some crazy rabbit hole, completely debunked that aliens are eating pets.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Are you okay, Mr. Chairman?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you okay? Eric, are you okay? That was not debunked. We literally had reports of illegal immigrants, of refugees eating household pets in Ohio. Obviously, yes, that is a funny meme. Trump wants to protect them, but that was something that was actually happening. And instead of crashing out over a harmless kind of cute meme, maybe we should actually address the problem. Maybe we should figure out why
they were eating
and sort it out
pets
for the sake of the cats and the ducks. Anyway, moving on from that to my favorite part. Obviously, the best Eric Swalwell story is that he banged a Chinese spy. Allegedly,
I love
he had
this
a little
one.
thing going on with the Chinese spy Fang. So if you did not know, there was a suspected Chinese spy who was targeting California politicians, and this lady had a special interest in Swalwell. And this interest was so special and so intimate that U.S. intelligence literally believes that they had a sexual relationship. And of course, much like Katie Porter, he will not answer any questions.
if it's like the typical Californian politician, just ask Gavin Newsom's best friend's wife what happens when you happen to entangle with the politicians
about it. And I do wonder if he has ever walked off set or screamed at a staffer after being asked. So anyway,
I doubt
somebody
that.
out there, let's start leaking those clips just so Californians can really see what their two options are. Now again, unless you live in California, all of this is just absurd and ridiculous and objectively very hilarious to talk about, but there is a more serious issue here. Because between New York City and Mamdani and the awful California's governor's race, we need to ask ourselves why this is happening. Like, why do we have such awful options for candidates like Swalwell or Katie Porter, Mamdani, or grandma killing alleged accused perved Cuomo? Like, it is awful.
Right.
It is awful, and Americans,
it's so bad.
We deserve better. Somebody commented and said there is no monocausal explanation, but I think a major factor in why everything is so effed up these days is because there's just no incentive for good, competent people to go into politics. It sure doesn't seem like it anymore.
Yeah, the good, competent people don't have the funding to fight some of the other guys who just get Soros-backed money, Pelosi-backed money, and or they're getting paid by fucking Jeffrey Epstein child porn ring money.
Unfortunately. Now, thankfully, there is another option for California if he can get through the primaries, and that would be the Riverside County Sheriff. His name is Chad Bianco. And if you're in California or you are just an interested party, if you want to learn more about him, he will actually be on Lara Trump's show on Fox on Saturday night, which actually will be when this episode comes out. So after you watch this episode later that evening, go see his interview if you want to learn more. And interestingly, even though it's California, right now, Chad is actually in the lead. A recent poll by UC Berkeley's Institute of Governmental Studies found that among the declared Democrats, Porter was leading at 11% of registered voters, but Sheriff Bianco was the overall leader at 13%. Those weak numbers tell us that it is wide open and it's impossible to identify a probable winner. Now, that isn't a huge edge, and obviously it is still early, but that also says a lot about the state of California and the voters that are engaged and want something better for their future. Now, does Sheriff Bianco have any shot at beating Democrats to get him?
And if you are a voter in California and your neighbor is, an illegal immigrant, or illegal immigrants around, call ICE on them. Get them removed so they don't put illegal votes in with no voter ID, no nothing when the time comes around for the election, just to cancel out your vote. You need to make sure that they're not even here to vote, so that all of a sudden the state gets slapped as hard as possible because they're proven to be fraudulent with their votes. All of a sudden they have more votes than population, and it's like, huh? What'd you guys do?
Into the primary once, push comes to
we
shove,
could see
the
it.
Democrat machine,
it'd be fun,
and the millions of dollars start flooding in. Who knows? I unfortunately am a little bit jaded at this point. It unfortunately will most likely come down to the two Democrats, and per usual,
Brett Cooper for California governor. Yeah.
Rather than
I'm just kidding. She's got a kid.
The GOP will throw their weight behind the lesser of two evils, which in this case would
hang out on the other side of the country.
Depressing. Like the actual evil Glee football coach screaming Karen, or Fang's farting boyfriend. Those are the options at hand. So California, if that does not get you out to vote in the primaries, guys, I don't know what will.
For real, that is so wild. California, you either need to flip Republican or you're probably cooked. I would say one of these two candidates, the boyfriend of the Chinese spy, is probably the better of the two, but that ain't saying a whole fucking lot. Anyways, I will leave this video here. You can come back later today and get another one from me, or tomorrow. I upload 2 videos every single day, every day of the week. So come back anytime. Smash the like button and get subscribed if you didn't already. You owe me for sticking around this far. And have a good day. Later.